What's up, boys? It's Nick from Team Tibble 501 here. I am the king of the scrubs, and today I am back with round number 5 of the Crush Card Cup. This is going to be another Salamangreat mirror match. A lot more interesting than the first one. Let's just get into it. I lose RPS here. Oops, sorry about that. Supposed to play this from my perspective. Fucker. So, my opener is quite strong. You know, I have Buffalo, I have a defensive card, I have an extender. You know, this is basically like the perfect opening hand for Salad. I wish one of these monsters was a hand trap, but you can't always have it all. So, you know, my opponent goes Buffalo, Balinx does the same thing. Buffalo 1, Balinx 2, pitches Debug, draws a couple of cards, summons a foul out of the grip, turns it into a Sunlight Wolf, brings back the Balinx, gets the foul back, and pass turn. And they don't set any cards, which is critical here. Because normally if they had a Rage or a Roar, I would consider just blowing off like my Foxy summon, or I'd maybe consider summoning the Foxy and then activating its graveyard effect to potentially hit the Will or the Sanctuary to prompt action on my opponent. But because they did nothing here, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go full blown with this Buffalo. So I do the Buffalo 1 Balinx 2 thing, and they summon Phantasme, which I thought was weird because that card just like isn't very good in this position or in this metagame, excuse me. But yeah, also I forgot to mention these matches are pre-Eternity Code. So there's not going to be any Parallel Exceed, any Gear Suit, none of that. So I bring the Foxy back from my graveyard. I attempt to destroy the Will. They banish Balinx to save it. I get back my Buffalo. I make Sunlight Wolf. And I crash into their Balinx, setting my Rage and passing turn. They go for the Buffalo play again. 2 more cards deeper into the deck. That is broken. They go to summon Foul. I activate Rage, and I attempted to pop... what was it? The Heatleo and the Phantasme. So they banish Balinx to keep their Heatleo, but they let the Phantasme die. So now they're just going off with Heatleo plays. They're going to change my Wolf's attack. They summon Spinny, and this is where I thought it was weird. They go for the update OTK. Like, they summon the Spinny, and they go right into the update jammer. I don't agree with this play. Just because like it's so critical in the mirror for your update jammer to actually kill your opponent. Because as you can see, I have a full grip of cards. I have the ability to play through almost anything my opponent can set up. So if I don't die this turn, they've just wasted the one way that they can actually win the game. And so, you know, banish my Balinx, save my Sunlight Wolf. I only end up taking the, what is it? I take 4,800 in this battle phase instead of 8,000, so I'm like, great. I am now in a position to just easily win this game. I get the Rage back with Falco, now I Desires for 2 fresh cards. I hit Foolish and Imperm, Jack Jaguar still on my deck, and now at this point I know for a fact that I've got the game locked up. Bring back 2 monsters with Mill, and then I get Nibiru, and I'm just like, okay, this man has Phantasme and Nibiru. And so as you can see in the chat, the token has 11,000 attack points. And so it's like, okay, so my opponent has to make either a Borreload to steal the token, or they need to kill me. Because if they don't, I am just going to kill them here. And they summon Debug as their normal for turn, and I thought, okay, the game's over. They're going to make Hita, they're going to summon a monster out of my graveyard, and then they can extend further. But when they overlay for a rank 4 here, I'm just like, oh. And they summoned the Dweller in attack mode, which I thought was weird. I thought they put their monsters in defense mode. They activated the Dweller in my standby phase. I impermed it. I had no reason to imperm it, honestly. I should have just let it happen and just went straight into the battle phase because I had perfect information. But it was also one of those things where it's like, I need to be 100% sure that I've got this. So I win game 1, and now we're going into game 2. And my opener is garbage. And so I'm mining... They ash it, I draw 2 cards with Desires, and it's Nibiru Will, and I'm just like, okay. And so, yeah, I finally draw a Spinny after pitching my first one to the Synapse Mining. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to attack for pass turn. They set a monster, I summon Buffalo. On the normal summon, they go... they go for a Artifact Sanctum, and I ash it, because I'm like, you are not scything me this turn. I made a very big misplay here. I went into Hita thinking I could kill my opponent. Because I was going to will back the Balinx, bring their monster back, go for the update OTK, and I've got this. You can't use Ash Blossom to summon Update Jammer. which is pretty brutal. And I realized that halfway going into this turn, they summon Phantasme, I summon their Ash back, I run over their monster, which is a Crow, I pass turn, and they draw a circle, and I'm thinking, okay, now I've lost the game. I have 100% lost the game. And my opponent makes a really weird play here. They send Spinny instead of sending a trap card. Now, if I'm in my opponent's position here, and again, I have no idea what they have in their hand, but if I'm in my opponent's position here, I have this Phantasma that basically protects my entire board. So instead of me making like this huge play that could potentially lose to a Nibiru, I'll just end on Sunlight Wolf with Rage Set and then force my opponent to break that. At least that's what I'm thinking when I play this mirror. Because the main way that you lose the mirror in the post side deck games is you overextend into the Nibiru and then they capitalize on it. If you always just make 4 summons a turn, then you can never get Nibiru. So if you can end on Sunlight Wolf Trap and 4 summons, do it. You're going to win. But instead, my opponent just goes ham here. And as soon as they summon the Spinning, I'm like, I am dropping the Nibiru. You have this massive token. And I'm like, okay, it's my turn to go in. I hit a Falco off the Foxy, which is pretty medium here. But again, because of Nibiru, I'm not going to go further than 4 summons. So that's summon number 2. That's summon number 3. That's summon number 4. And I just go right into the battle phase. I'm like, nope, you are not summoning this. You are not summoning a Nibiru. Yeah. I thought I had a trap, but... And I just set bluffs and pass. They summon Gazelle. They send Foxy. They go for Banlinks. They pop my Will. And they wolf into wolf. They eat a Banlinks. And at this point, I'm like, okay, you've gotten a couple of resources back, but I can now just prompt you. We're each buying back resources here. And at this point, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go for lethal. Or, no, I'm not going to go for lethal because of Nibiru, right? Yeah. That was my 4th summon. That was my 4th summon. That's pretty clear. But at this point, I was like, there's nothing my opponent can do here that can, like, really scare me. And now they go for the OTK, which, again, I don't think this is correct. My monsters can't be destroyed by battle because of Sunlight Wolf. And I've had these 2 set cards here basically since turn 1. These could be trap cards that I haven't been able to activate. These could be stuff like Infinite Impermanence. Granted, I assume my opponent figured out that, like, if these were live cards, they either would have been activated by now or they're complete bluffs, so I'm just going to play as if my opponent has nothing, which is fair, but it's still something to consider that, like, again, the OTK is the most critical part of the mirror, and I think my opponent burned it too early here. They don't have enough resources to really rebuild next turn. All they have is a Gazelle, and I have this Ash ready to go that they know I have. And so they smack into my Wolf. I use Will's effect to go for the Update Jammer. I make a Borreload that can attack twice, and I win the game. So again, I think this highlights 2 things about the Salamangreat mirror. 1, the OTK is incredibly critical, and you need to actually kill your opponent the turn you summon it. And B, resource management with Nibiru in mind is super critical, because if you spend too many resources into monsters that don't accrue you advantage and you get Nibiru'd, you just flat out lose the game. So I'm very happy with how I played this match. I thought this was one of my best played matches in the entire tournament. I'm up to 3-2 now, so I'm thinking, okay, if I win the next, 6 rounds, if I win the next 6 rounds, I'll be in top cut for sure. Even if I'm 8-3, I might bubble. And so, I'm feeling really good after this match. So anyway, that was it for round number 5. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you with round number 6.